Welcome back from the break. Time for us to bring you business. And the Bank of Ghana has announced that it will hold its first Monetary Policy Committee meeting for 2023 from Tuesday, January 24th to Friday, January 27th to review development in the economy. The meeting is expected to heavily discuss Ghana's high inflation rate, which stands at 50.3%, the highest in 27 years. The following report has more.
Should there be some extra measures introduced to deal with the current pressure on the Ghana cedi? Well, that's one question that would come up strongly during this first Monetary Policy Committee meeting for this year. This is due to the recent challenge with the local currency which started in December last year. The committee will also not forget about the perennial first quarter pressure on the Ghana cedi, as most businesses demand dollars to restock for the year. Again, what about inflation rate and whether it is indeed going to decline in the coming months, or some extra monetary measures are needed to check liquidity? Most industry watchers would also be looking forward to the end-of-year numbers for 2022 when it comes to Ghana's total debt stock, the cedi's performance against the US dollar, inflation rate, and whether the Bank of Ghana indeed ended 2022 missing out on most of its key monetary indicators. Also, an update of the IMF program negotiations, as well as the possible board approval for a program, and the almighty debt exchange program and its impact on the entire banking industry.
Now, reacting to this development, economist Dr. Patrick Esuming is predicting a further hike in the policy rate yet to be announced by the Bank of Ghana. According to him, the current macroeconomic conditions do not support a reduction of the lending rate. Hence, businesses need to adjust and strategize, at least for the first quarter of the year.
As for a reduction, it's extremely unlikely. I mean, I would be very surprised if we saw a reduction at this point. I think it's too early. Generally, you expect that central bankers and monetary policy makers are a little bit more conservative and not trigger happy. So when they do a policy, they might want to see the effect, its full effect felt through the economy before they take an action. Don't forget that when the policy changes, according to the governor himself, it takes up to 4 quarters for its full impact to be seen. So if they feel that they've gotten to a point where enough has been done based on the data they are seeing, and that when the cumulative effect of all the recent increments will do enough to fight the inflation, they might decide to stay it. As for businesses, I think overall businesses will probably want to put on hold any major investment that requires financing from the banks, because it's not just the policy rate, but the ongoing discussions about the debt exchange is really going to change the strength and the lending power of the banks.
Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, is demanding a significant reduction in the prices of liquefied petroleum gas immediately, arguing the justification being given by the LPG Marketers Association is not enough. The Chamber's call is coming at a time prices of diesel and petrol have gone down by about 8% in the last pricing window, but price of LPG has remained unchanged. Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, tells Joy Business his outfit will be engaging the marketers for a possible review of the price of the product.
Unfortunately, we are unable to support the LPG marketers on this one. If you do the numbers that we have for the window, LPG should have seen probably the highest decline in terms of price per kilogram. We should have probably been around 20% per window. Whilst we share in the earlier concern raised that indeed the taxes on LPG would need to be reduced or scaled down, we don't think that is enough justification at this point for them to decide that they are not going to reduce prices of LPG at the local pumps. And so we'll try to engage them forthwith to ensure that what is due the consumer now is not denied him simply because of the call for taxes to be reduced on LPG. We think that that call is in the right direction, But immediately, the declines that we've seen on the international market, together with a relatively stable local currency.
Now, economist and legal practitioner David Ofosu-Dotte is advocating an upper limit beyond which government cannot impose taxes. According to him, government's penchant for imposing taxes is only rendering the citizens poorer when it is expected to rather make them prosperous. He says taxes such as the sanitation levy, the energy sector levy, and the fiscal stabilization levy, among others, have not achieved their intended purpose. Mr. Ofosu-Dotte was speaking in Accra at a Constitution Day public lecture on the theme, the 1992 Constitution, a fundamental law for our prosperity or a well-crafted guide for our economic doom.
Energy fund levy. The energy sector owes more than it owed before this fund was introduced. Sanitation and pollution levy, 2021. Its purpose was to levy to help address sanitation issues in the country. I'm not so sure whether sanitation issues have been resolved on your way here, but we are being levied for that. And I bet that if we were to speak to those in charge of sanitation, what they will tell you is that their problem is lack of funding. Then we have energy sector levy, which has become ESLA. 20 pesos per liter on petrol and diesel, 18 pesos on LPG. National Fiscal Stabilization Levy 2013, to levy taxes that are imposed on companies and institutions for fiscal stabilization. Is our fiscal regime stable? We all know the answer. It definitely is not stable. Tourism levy, to provide funding for tourism and tourism-related activities. 1% payable by a person of a tourism enterprise specified under the Act. So when you go to a restaurant, our tourism, you can make the judgment yourself.
He has also been speaking about the mindset of many Ghanaians.
In the midst of crisis, if you pay too much attention to the crisis and you have the wrong crisis mindset, you are likely to pay attention to the divergent things which will let you miss opportunity. And that is why I thought I should draw attention to this. I want us to understand that in this crisis, there are 5,000 areas, and it is not an imaginary figure. There are 5,000 minimum areas in Africa that you can compete or dominate. Whether you are able to spot opportunities in these 5,000 areas depends completely entirely on your crisis mindset.
That's it for business. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Showbiz.